true happiness for me, true success would be waking up in the morning just so fucking happy and excited and proud that I'm waking up as Nick fucking Sarda because I am fulfilling my purpose. I don't even have anything yet. I don't have $1 million in the bank account. I'm not, serving or at my ultimate purpose yet, but just knowing that I'm working towards there. I have no real problems in life, I'm making some good money, it's nothing crazy, but I'm making good money. I have great relationships. I have true friends I can rely on for absolutely fucking anything. Those little things, having that and just still being on the process, no matter where I'm in the process, I'd be a happy dude.
I didn't want to like it, but now I'm loving every day. I'm going mad, I'm going crazy. I want my flowers, I want my daisies. Yeah, I look good, so does my lady. They try to copy but can't imitate me. She want to talk, she want relations. Money don't stop, we ain't separated.
How are y'all doing? It's Alaniz, host of the Get Your Shit Together Man podcast and CEO and founder of Basics. If you want to find out more information to see if or how you qualify to work one-on-one with the Basics team, please visit www.basicsbrigade.com. Or if you want to speak to a member of our team, go ahead and click the second link below in the bottom of this YouTube video. Or if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth, you can actually click the very first link in the episode description. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at AaronAlanizFits. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be blowing up soon. I don't know what it's going to be, but just prepare for it, okay? Today, we have a very, very special guest here named Nick Sarda. Him and I have known each other for about a year now. He is also a fellow fitness coach as well. He has incredible passions for inner work and spirituality. I've been able to see this man go from the typical, what most people would call meathead kind of fitness coach to someone who's just completely awakened, pun intended. He'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Into just becoming the man he's always wanted to be. So, Nick, man, tell the people about yourself.
Well, Aaron, first of all, what's going on, dude? Thanks for having me on here. As you said, man, I started off as a online fitness coach, getting out of the military last year, January, after 6 years, and was doing it because fitness was always a passion of mine, and I knew that I could create change and help people through that. But shortly after that, I kind of hit a low point, rock bottom, if you will, and from that point moving forward, I realized. From that specific rock bottom, I guess you could say, because I feel like people have multiple in their lives, that I needed to make a change internally, because I noticed repetitive behaviors and patterns. And the first thing I did was actually pick up the book, How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LePera, the holistic psychologist on Instagram. And shortly after that, kind of getting into it, Wake Up Wealthy kept popping into my mind because those guys were always reaching out to me, and I felt a very strong calling to act upon it. So I did. And I was pleasantly surprised that a lot of the stuff that they teach was inner work for men, the spirituality side of things. And dude, yeah, through there, it was just just throwing rocket fuel on a fire. And I just ran with it. I became obsessed with it. I became, all about becoming the best version of myself. And I just saw so much change in such a short period of time. I was like, wow, this should be accessible and known to absolutely every single person, especially my demographic, the military and veterans. I feel like those guys could benefit the most from something like this. So we ended up incorporating a lot of that stuff into what we do now. It's not just fitness coaching. It's more of just overall fitness, life, and wellness kind of coaching for military.
Exactly. I love that, man, because obviously when it comes down to the military, I know you and I were having a conversation prior to this, but I wanted to say it on camera. There's a lot of people that I find in the military, my old friends of mine, and even my biological father, they're very away motivated. You know what I mean? So the reason why they're going to the military sometimes is because they're trying to obviously serve the country, but sometimes it's like, man, something happened to me as a kid. I'm trying to escape and try to do something. You know what I mean? Have you noticed that pattern being very similar also?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely see that. For some of the reasons the guys join is just because they're like, I want to get away from my parents. I want to get away from home. I want to get away from this person. I need an escape. I need a fresh start. And, sometimes people, even though they have the right intentions with the fresh start, they're really running away from baggage, from, trauma, from problems in their past, from specific people. And so, the military isn't exactly an easy life either. So if you're trying to run from something that is a behavior that's internal, that's something that you have as a subconscious reaction to things, then that's going to go with you. So it definitely is prevalent in the military, and like you can see people's behavioral patterns and stuff resurfacing while during their career and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I just think it's a very special community to me, being military and just seeing a lot of the toxicity and suffering from it myself, and having to heal from a lot of the things that I went through and that I picked up while I was in. And so I just feel really obligated to help them, because I feel like, you know, they're as tacky as it sounds, my brother and sisters in arms, you know. Okay. And there's just like some deep bonding factor about going through the bullshit and the suck, and knowing that that person knows exactly what the fuck you're talking about when you're like, yep, just living the dream over here, man, just trucking along day by day, you know. And so I'd rather not have that as a norm, and people change and be like, wow, you know, like, although this situation isn't ideal, I'm going to make the best of it. This is going to be an awesome experience. I'm going to take what I need from it and learn and grow. Like, imagine we had people with those, like more people with those mindsets while serving. Like, I feel like overall, which is actually what we're going for, is like creating a long-term and sustainable impact within the military itself by changing the individuals. Every single service member, veteran that we can help is a one step closer towards this goal, because the military overall, even though it stands for something absolutely amazing, and I'm not taking anything away from it because I was definitely proud to serve, has a toxic environment, and that's something that needs to be addressed and changed.
Yeah, and regarding this toxic environment, because obviously I don't know from firsthand experience, what patterns do you keep on seeing get repeated regarding the way that the infrastructure is laid out currently that end up mentally damaging people that are serving our country?
Here's a great one, dude. So with a lot of the leadership, because some of these guys are, you know, they're called crusty sailors. They're the more senior dudes that have had, you know, lots of deployments under their belt, lots of experience, very knowledgeable. Their mindset kind of going into it, because of, you know, the predecessors before them, is, well, I had to experience this. I had to go through this bullshit. I had to suffer through it. So you have to do that too, because it's just tradition. It's just the way that things are, and nobody seems to want to change that at the leadership level, where, you know, effect and change actually happens. Because, you know, the ranking system, it's not as like strict or intense in the Navy, but I know in other branches, like, I mean, even if you're just like an E3 to E5 in the Marines, like, that's a huge fucking gap. Like, you would never backtalk or say any shit to like your sergeant if you're an E3, but in the Navy it's a little bit different. But yeah, man, it's just that mindset. It's we do the same things because it's tradition, because, you know, it's the way things have always been. And I think that's the problem in itself, you know, is like nobody's willing to make the change. And on top of that, it is very difficult to make sustainable and long-term change if you're not a fucking 4-star admiral, you know, or like a 2-star general, or, you know, the command officer of an entire command. It's like, what can an enlisted person, me being like an E5 when I got out, what can I do to make a change? Yeah, sure, I can impact the people around me, but it's like waves, dude. Like, this new wave comes in, and pretty much what you do, and when everybody else leaves, is like it's almost forgotten about, you know?
Exactly.
So it's difficult. But now that I'm on the outside, I can see how I can make my impact. And so that's why I'm also really grateful. And I knew after getting out of the military that, one, I never wanted to work for anyone ever again, because I value my time, my freedom above all else. And two, this is my deeper calling. You know, like, this is my purpose. Like, my purpose is to deeply impact the service members individually, so that I can make an impact on exactly what the reason I got out for in the future.
I love that, man. Because obviously when it comes down to leadership, sometimes people take a different approach, right? I know I'm sure you've already heard the term servant leadership, where it's like, I'm going to be of service to you as much as possible, and then we can both grow together, versus like being a tyrant. And I know that when I was playing football back in the day, it's like, hey, you're this, you're that, you're that. I'm sure it's like that, right, in the military, but just 10 times worse, kind of thing. Like, very demeaning kind of talk in order to get people to get moving, or how does it work?
Yeah, I would say, like, there are some incredible leaders, a lot of servant leaders, as you mentioned. Like, one of my very first command officers he was definitely woke. Like, you could tell that he was very spiritual. He was very understanding. He had a super quiet demeanor, but he was just beyond intelligent and was very aware of everything going on, and took the time to become this leader. He actually, so much so, was like in the grind with us, in the filth, that like he could tell you more things about your piece of equipment or your space that you own in some circumstances than you could. And it's just like, he was just admired and loved by all. And he definitely fought for us. And so, like, don't get me wrong, there are some absolutely fantastic leaders, some super selfless leaders, heroic leaders, but I would say, like, generally speaking, just because of that environment of like that tradition, and we got to keep things the way that we are, it's, for the most part, I've met more, I would say, bad leaders than good. More leaders that have that dictator, just do what I say because I have rank, kind of mentality, versus the guys who really want to be a servant leader or be the best leader in whatever regards they have.
100%, man. And I want to pick your brain on leadership, because I know with your operation, man, you've been scaling more, you've been hiring more people. I think that's a freaking beautiful thing to see, man. So obviously, when it comes down to leadership within your own business and your students that you're working with as well, what kind of leadership traits do you try to have embodied within yourself and in your operation in order to correct these mistakes for your students right now?
So here's a really good one. I actually learned it in a leadership position while in the military. So I became what was called work center soup, which was like being in charge of like my specific, we called it work center. And I haven't really had such a high stress, high pressure leadership position like that ever before. So it was very much a learning experience. But one thing that really stuck to me when I was getting more involved in leadership and kind of reading books to become better was never ask someone, a subordinate or someone that you're leading, to do something that you personally would never do. And so that was one of the biggest things that has stuck with me. It's like, it would just feel wrong. It is wrong to just be like, hey, you know what? Go clean the fucking toilets right now. And they're just like, but I mean, you never have. Why? You never will. You're never doing that with us. Why do I have to? Because I said so. That's just like, that's toxic. And that's just not being a decent human. And so as I grew through my naval career, my leadership style definitely changed, and I wanted to be the leader that was also known to not just tell you and go and do something, but like, if I do that, it's because I am working on something else that is like taking us to where we need to be for like, a administrative standpoint. Or, if I was free time, I wasn't just telling you to do something and then just, kind of like fucking off on my phone or something. I'm going to go and help you so that this gets done faster so that we can go home sooner, Exactly. That kind of like developed as my mindset. But now that I'm learning a lot about spirituality, I definitely think that I'm still trying to find what leadership style, or like what my style of leadership should be, in sense of who I am now as a person, because the Nick back then and the Nick now are two completely different human beings.
100%. Have you ever done inverted thinking with that question in mind, or no?
No, I have not actually.
You should. I've been doing that recently. I have this whole piece of paper here. I'm not going to zoom in too crazy, obviously, but I wrote down a whole bunch of things that I want, right? And this is like kind of how to do this. And it's just like what Alex Ramosi talks about. You and I are both stands of the dude.
Yeah.
Where it's like what would the worst leader be, kind of thing. Like, what would the worst leader possibly be? And then you write all those traits down, you just invert it. And then now you know what to be. Because obviously with our brains, we're wired for survival. So we're much better off sometimes just thinking the worst case scenario, be a little negative Nancy for a bit, since it's in our hardware already. Play towards that and then just invert it. So I've been doing that recently with a lot of things. I would have told you that off camera too. So for y'all listening, y'all got some game.
That's incredible. I actually never have heard about inverted thinking.
Oh, dude, it's a concept from Charlie Munger. So Alex Hormozzi's huge into that. He's been doing that that's how he made his book, that $100 million offers, $100 million leads, so on and so forth. So it's very like, what would the worst book on building an offer have? It'd be overpriced. Let me just charge 99 cents. How it would teach people how to do this from A through Z. it would just tell people one of the features to sell them on a course on the back end. So then when you do that and you just execute, which is obviously the most important part, then you're able to actually reap the rewards of your labor.
Dang, you could do that with anything. You know,
Dude,
like in business, what would the worst fitness offer be? Okay, do the exact opposite of that. Give them everything that they need and more. You know what I mean? Like, what would the worst leader be? Okay, what would the worst client be? So if you're trying to figure out your avatar, you know what I mean? Like, who are you trying to serve? Well, you know, I don't really know. I'm kind of figuring it out. It's generalized. All right, like, okay, in your mind, who would be the worst client that you do, like you would not take on no matter how much they offered you? Okay, well then what the hell is on the other side of that?
Exactly. Even plateaus with business,
powerful.
with personal things, it's like, say, for example, you're going to be a father or something. It's like, man, what would the worst dad be? You know, you see how powerful this stuff can get. And then after that, it's just like, man, the best dad would do this, this, this. And then you have a list as to how to do it as soon as you invert those things. So I definitely encourage you to do that. I've been doing that recently. Where it's like, how can I guarantee that YouTube doesn't blow up? Like, how can I just guarantee it never happens? And then
I'm curious on your end, dude. What would you say your leadership style is? Because I mean, I know you've been blowing up and you've been putting a lot of work on in the back end and everything, dude.
Yeah, man. When it comes down to what I do, it's very servant leadership based. It's kind of, truth be told, I've been learning a little bit more about leadership. It's definitely a skill that I never learned was important, because obviously there's not many leaders out there to teach you how to be a leader, kind of thing. But definitely what I believe in is leading by example and setting the tone from the get-go for my own actions, kind of thing. So it's much for, I don't want to have to explain to my people this is the way it should be done, because you should be able to see the way it's done. And if you're not doing it, you should feel kind of like, why are you even here, kind of thing. So I'm a big believer in kind of understanding the way that our brains work and understanding that we are geared to fit in, right? So you kind of want to create a culture within your operation to where peak performance is the prerequisite. It's a standard. It's not the high achieving goal, kind of thing. So say, for example, if everyone in a group like you and I are in, kind of thing, if everyone's meditating, doing their journaling, waking up on time and doing things like that, but then there's one person who's not, it's like, dude, what are you even doing here? You know what I mean? So in order to fit in and kind of fit that biological need, you need to be doing those things to even be a part of the group, kind of thing. But otherwise, why are you even here? If you don't have a business, why are you even here?
Yeah, dude, that resonates with me, because when I used to think of leadership, maybe like I would say a year or 2 years ago, one of the things that I always thought about was like, when I'm a leader, I want to be thought of as the leader that is unquestionably the hardest worker, like in the room, in the company, period. You know, it's just like, if I asked someone to do something, never would the thought be like, well, what are you going to do? You know, like, what do you got going on, Mr. CEO? You know, like, what do you even do for this company? It's like, no, everybody knows exactly what my importance is, like what my purpose is, and like how hard I work, not to show off, but exactly like you said, just set the tone. And I also think that breeds a lot of respect, because like people don't see you as like that dictator type of leader. You know what I mean? Like, you are working, you're pulling your own weight, and this is a team effort. It's just that my job is a little bit different than yours, because, you know, I'm in a leadership position, whereas yours is to, you know, let's just say they're in marketing, like, come do your absolute best in marketing so that that specific area of the business is completely squared away, and, you know, we're growing in that aspect, you know. But everyone has the same importance. It's just we all have different jobs.
Exactly. It's just also about it's raising the floor for your standards of operations too. So instead of like trying to keep on raising the standard, raise the floor, meaning like, how low are you willing to go, kind of thing. I know that sounds kind of weird, but the thing is that when you can raise the floor of the operation and the standards of kind of being able to do your things, an example would be, let's say, instead of a business, say someone's just getting started, $200 a month kind of thing, instead of, that's their worst month and the highest month is $2K a month or something like that, right? Instead of 200, try to get to 500. Try to make it 1K, so you're always within that range. And then when you keep on raising the floor, you're more grounded in your present reality, and you can actually fix the clogs in your boat more so than like, man, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And you can kind of get lost in the clouds sometimes without actually taking care of the things that are holding back your operation to begin with. So it's like, take care of the biggest bottlenecks, because sometimes you can be wanting to get to Hawaii on a little paddle boat, but you got a hole. You got a couple of holes in the kayak or whatever. You got to plug the holes before, because otherwise you can have the best intentions to go to Hawaii, But if you got some glaringly obvious flaws in your operation, like, hey, if you're only doing this, or hey, you're only doing that, you know, you're bound to fail.
Yeah, dude, that actually resonates, especially that analogy with the boat. Because I mean, let's just say that because you are focused on the standard or, you know, this level of excellence, but you're not paying attention to the floor. Like, you could have a fucking, even if you have a kayak, but you have like a 350cc motor in the back, you're flying on your way to Hawaii, because you have those holes in the floor that you haven't noticed. You know, water's still getting in the boat. You still have that risk of sinking, even though you're fucking flying there. So it's just like, you know, that actually puts a whole new perspective on like everything that you should be working on. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's kind of like the, you know, the weakest link in the group kind of analogy. It's like, but the same thing in terms of business. It's like, what is the weakest area of business? Where is the floor the lowest, and bring that up so that like literally the standard or everything else kind of goes up with it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I want to pick your brain on what got you into the military. I know it's going to seem like a Quentin Tarantino movie regarding just like there and then here, whatever. But I just want to kind of pick your brain regarding what got you involved with the military initially, man. Because obviously when it comes down to it, it's not for the faint of heart, you know. So I kind of really want to pick your brain regarding what got you interested in taking down or walking down that road initially when you were younger.
It's funny because I mean, one of the major reasons why I joined, I'm not even using, but so one, I've always had a military presence in my life because my grandfather was actually retired as I want to say it was a brigadier general in the United States Army. So he was way the fuck up there, you know, high brass, high officer. So like there was always like that military aspect in my life as a young kid. And then one of my very first rock bottoms was like 19, 20 years old. And so I left the Philippines coming back to America, kind of like figuring my stuff out and knowing that I wanted to go back to school because I kind of like, you know, stopped going to class, got in mixed with the wrong crowd, all that stuff, dropped out of school, even though on a full baseball scholarship. So that was kind of fucked. But I always had it in my notion, I guess, that school was the answer to get a good career and like follow that path of success and, you know, like make money, because everybody in my family, the floor was low as or high as hell. So they all went to like Ivy League schools. They all have like these insane jobs working for fucking JP Morgan and like all these other ridiculous like high level corporate jobs. So like that put a lot of pressure on me, and me not finishing school and dropping out and being the first one too of like my generation, my family, really impacted my mental health, and like I felt like a failure. So I was like, all right, how can I get back to school? And you know, how can I do it on my own so that I can prove to all of them that, you know, I'm still worthy, I guess. And I was like, the military, you know, like I've always kind of had the notion of like, you know, what it would be like to be in the military. Like, you know, I've always had this, what I always say, the warrior spirit, you know. I always liked challenges, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a look. And so I mentioned it to my uncle who I was living with at the time over in San Francisco, and he was like, that's a great idea. Let's go right now. So we went, checked out the recruiting office. I originally went into the Marine Corps office, took a practice ASVAB, blew it out of the water. They were like, holy fuck, you can have any job you want, man. I was like, dope. And so like, it was funny, in that moment, I took off my sweatshirt and he saw the tattoos on my arm, and he was just like, whoa, hold on, let me see your arm. And like, he did this like weird finger thing where he was like, took my wrist, bent it, and like put two fingers underneath that to see how far my tattoos like would cross in that threshold. For like, if you're wearing like long sleeve stuff, would it show? Yeah. He was like, sorry, man, we can't take you. Your tattoos cross that threshold. I was like, what the fuck? I thought Marines are like badass dudes. Yeah, hardcore. Like, what the fuck is a tattoo? You know what I mean? So I was a little butthurt by that. And so I wanted to go in the Army office, kind of like following my grandfather's footsteps, because I wanted to be above him. You know, I'm like, dude, Marines are elite. Like, I'm sorry. Like, in my mind, Marines were elite. They're, you know, the proud, the few, all that stuff. Bought into it. And so I was walking over the Army office, and he was like, no. Let's go this way. Let's check out the Navy. I'm like, the Navy? I don't want to check out the Navy. He's like, come on, like, there's a lot of intelligence jobs. Like, did you ever see the movie Officer and a Gentleman? I was like, no, I haven't actually. He's like, well, whatever, come on. So we went into this Navy office, dude, and this recruiter was talking, and everything he was saying was just like lighting my uncle's face up. And I was just like, oh God, here we go. Because I could see it. He was just like on the edge of his seat, like, yeah. Tell me more. Tell me more about these intelligence jobs and these like technical schools and all of that you can go to. Yeah. Tell me more. And right then and there, I knew. I was like, oh fuck, he's gonna make me go to the Navy. And so after talking, I was like, all right, the job doesn't sound that bad. There's a lot of like, really technical jobs that have applications outside of the Navy when you get out and stuff, especially since I scored really high on the ASVAB, the pre-ASVAB. I could have any one of these jobs. And so, yeah, we went home, kind of were talking. I was like, I really want to check out the Army. I want to check out the Army. And then my dad got involved into it. And he was like, dude, I really think you should take the Navy for like the computer background and the intelligence aspect and like all those real world applications, because realistically, what is being able to carry a rifle around and be a marksman and have a really great cardiovascular conditioning going to do for you when you want to get out? And I was like, I guess you're right. All right, cool. Went back, got more information about some specific jobs, and pulled the trigger, dude. And then from there, the rest was history. Like, the funniest thing about this whole story is, like, during the 2 meetings of being in the Navy, the thought never crossed my mind that a deployment would be me floating in the middle of the ocean on this fucking ship for like 9 to 10 months at a time. That like never processed or registered in my brain. So when it came time to deployment, or like when we started talking about deployments in like the early stages of my career, I was like, fuck, dude, that sounds like it sucks. Like, no internet, no phones. They do have, I come to find that they do have internet, but it's like pretty much like having dial-up, just like all these things that they were saying. It was just hilarious to me, because like it hit me while I was already signed the contract. I am now property of the United States government. That, dude, fuck, a deployment is literally going to be on a ship out at sea, pulling out randomly. I was like, that just sounds insane to me. Like, I don't know how people do that. But yeah, and so yeah, dude, that was it. And I won't lie, like the first few years of my naval career, dude, I was so gung-ho about it. I like reveled in it. I was like, I'm a part of something bigger. Like, I ate up all that tradition shit that they feed down your throat to make you like, kind of, I don't want to use the term brainwash, but make you feel proud and like give you that sense of belonging into it. I ate that shit up, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But as things progressed and like I advanced through the ranks, and I started to see behind the veil, if you will, and that's when I started to see a lot of things that I disagreed with, that went against my values, that like I couldn't stand for. And so right then and there, probably around year 3.5 out of 6, 4, I made a vow to myself. I was like, 1, never going to work for a single person again in my entire life. I don't care what I got to do it. And then 2, I was like, I'm getting the fuck out, because I can't be a part of this bigger organization when I disagree with a lot of the core fundamentals and like operating procedures, I guess you could say, that they have, and the lack of care for their individual, service members. It's like, it blew my fucking mind, Don't get me wrong, there's like still ones and twosies here that like great leaders will go and bend over backwards for you, but overall as an organization, and like it's like almost a running joke. It's like, you just know that every day you're going to go into the Navy and, excuse my French, but get fucked by the long hard dick of the Navy, no lube. That was just the expectation coming in. And so like from a mental health standpoint, it's like, imagine having that every single fucking day. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucked.
And then you're isolated from your loved ones, and then you can't see the people that matter to you the most. You don't have a connection to the outside world, so your entire reality is based off of this ship kind of thing, right?
Yeah, dude.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy. And like coming back, it's weird, because you kind of feel like I don't know why, but most of us have this expectation when we come back that nothing really changes. And then when you do come back, like everything's changed, you know, because life goes on.
Yeah.
But you've been stuck in this small world of just seeing the same people every day and doing the same thing every day, that when you get back, it's almost like it's like a mini culture shock, you know? It's like coming back to going to visit like a foreign land again.
Like, I didn't know they made these kind of thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
what shocked you the most? Was it like the technology, I'd assume, the technology changes and advancements?
What shocked me the most in terms of coming back? No, dude, it's more of like people, like the people that, you know, your loved ones that you left back home, and, you know, the current events that are going on in the world that you have no idea about because you have dial-up fucking internet. You know, just like random stuff like that. You're like, oh my God, you know, like, for example, you're like, Johnny Depp is dead. So-and-so moved away from California, is no longer here, so I can't see my friend anymore. Like, you know, this person moved away, this person's now doing this. It's like, my dad is now doing this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you come back and everything's fucking changed and you're not ready for it. And because it's all at once, you know, like when people back home go through those increments of the 9 months, it's like, it's in small doses. And then when you get back, it's like, okay, well, you have to catch up on everything that happened in those 9 months in like, you know, it just comes at you in like a 48-hour, 72-hour span. So it's overwhelming. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the deal. But you know, ultimately through the whole thing, brother, I would not take away my journey through the military, because it was a great stepping stone, in the sense of like the bonds and friends that you make in the military are next to none. They're just inexplicable. They're just like so much deeper than any like civilian relationship I've ever had. My best friend currently, my business partner, I met him in the military, and we've pretty much been butt buddies ever since. Yeah, dude, and like the experiences that I had, you know, visiting different ports and kind of going crazy in Thailand and going crazy in Sri Lanka and like all these other countries that I would have probably never visited in my lifetime, because I mean, I didn't even know that Sri Lanka existed until it was on like the manifest of like where we're going. And yeah, just like the lessons and experiences I took, and knowing what kind of leader I don't want to be and what kind of things I do want to change, which ultimately led me to where I am now and the exact purpose I have. You know, it's like, I really feel like it's like my divine calling. It's my true purpose in life, exactly what we're moving towards, you know, with this rebrand and everything. So, I mean, that's something that's so powerful that I feel like a lot of people are just like endlessly and hopelessly searching for like, what's my purpose in life? And it kind of just like came through my process of experience and like taking action on things that were aligned with me. And, you know, now I feel like I am kind of embodying that purpose through like the experiences and actions that I took.
I love that, man. Seriously, the path that you're going down is awakened, pun intended. I love it. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit more about your operation and kind of your mission in a little bit, but the next question I want to ask you is about the importance of mental health. I know you're really, really big into that, and I wanted to ask you regarding mental health. Was it something that you had to learn how to develop and prioritize out of necessity due to really, really dark times, or was it something that just kind of caught your interest one day and you chose to optimize it?
Oh, it was definitely dark times, dude. So the mental health aspect really came into play shortly after me getting out and transitioning out of the military. Kind of like, long story short, there were some behavioral habits and tendencies and just like my overall mindset from the military that just weren't healthy. You know, they were not healthy by any means, and I wasn't aware of it. And shortly after getting out, and maybe over a 2 to 3 month span, some big traumatic events happened, and it just like sent me on a spiral, and I just fucking spiraled out of control until I hit rock bottom, and I had all of these overwhelming issues. And I was just like, in that moment, I realized it was like, it's not because this happened. It's not like these individual events. It's me that needs to change. It's not any circumstance in my life. If I had more money, if I had a different person, you know, in my life to help me with this, whatever, like, I need to take ownership of all this fucking shit that's happening to me. And I just like, I never wanted to have this feeling again, because I felt lost, helpless, weak, just extremely insecure about myself and how I could let myself get to this point. And yeah, dude, it was a really rough time. And so I knew that like the only way to make this deep change was through like talking to, you know, getting therapy and getting professional help and, you know, starting that avenue. And then through that, I was like, I want more. I need more now. So that's when I was like, how to do the work, and then wake up wealthy on top of that. And it was just like exponential mental health growth, I guess you could say, from there. And because it's just had such a profound change in my demeanor, the way that I perceive the world, my coping mechanisms, my behavioral traits, like I was able to become this person that I'm aligned with, that I'm happy with, you know, good and some bad that I'm still working through. But like the biggest thing for me through this process, I feel like, was I no longer see success and happiness as this destination, you know? And I think it's very like, you know, a lot of people are like, I'll be happy when I have X, I'll be happy when I have Y. It's like true happiness for me, true success would be waking up in the morning just so fucking happy and excited and proud that I'm waking up as Nick fucking Sarda, because I am fulfilling my purpose. I don't even have anything yet. I don't have $1 million in the bank account. You know, I'm not, you know, serving or like, you know, at my ultimate purpose yet, but just knowing that I'm working towards there. I have no real problems in life, you know, like I'm making some good money, you know, it's nothing crazy, but I'm making good money. I have great relationships. I have true friends I can rely on for absolutely fucking anything, you know, like those little things, like having that and just like still being on the process, no matter where I'm in the process, I'd be a happy dude, you know? And for me, it was in the entrepreneurial space, dude, fast cars, McLarens, Ferraris, bro. It was like being well known in the space. It was fame. It was, you know, do you have a Rolex watch? You know, are you making fat stacks every single month, bro? 150K months, 250K months? No, what are you doing, dude? You know, like that bullshit. Fuck that, dude. You know, and then like it was funny too, because Jake, we balance each other so fucking well. I'm very extroverted. He's very introverted. You know, he came from a small town. I lived in a big city. So our mindsets were completely backwards. But we used to talk about success, right? And I used to be like, yeah, dude, I want like a fucking mansion. I want a 6-car garage, dude. I want like, you know, all that shit. And he was like, I was like, what is success to you? What makes you happy, man? He was like, dude, I just want a nice home, you know, maybe like 2 to 3 bedrooms. You know, me and Kelsey are happy. That's his wife. Kids running around. You know, everything's good. We have more than enough money to pay our bills and live comfortably. And you know, that's it, man. Just be quiet and just be doing our thing. You know, like I used to think, like, what the fuck, dude? Like you don't want the world. You know, like I'm trying to make the world my bitch. You know, like I'm trying to own everything. I want to buy everything. I want to be the richest man in the world. Nah, dude. It's like that's not true happiness. So it's just like societal influence, you know, being in the entrepreneurial space, like all those guys that we look up to, all that shit. And so, yeah, dude, I think that was one of the biggest things, is because also practicing gratitude and all that stuff, you're just so much more content and happy with where you are, no matter what's going on. And like that alone can help you so fucking much mentally. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the pressure to think, you know, I got to be always like hustling and grinding to the next step. Nothing's ever good enough, man. You know, like that's really impacting people's sense of happiness and who they are and what would truly make them happy. So I think that could be a huge pivotal shift for a lot of people.
Exactly. It's kind of like, well, what good is getting the world if you can't smile at yourself in the mirror?
Yeah, exactly, dude. You know,
people get that.
Yeah, or if you don't have a beautiful, you know, partner to inside and out to celebrate that with, good friends that will love you unconditionally, you know, beautiful, you know, maybe some kiddos running around, whatever floats your boat, but like those things, that's what fucking matters, dude.
Exactly, dude. I was actually speaking to someone, and thank you for sharing that, man. That was absolutely beautiful, dude. I was getting like a little teary-eyed, a little, like I had to kind of, honestly, that was me being honest. It was good stuff. I was speaking to someone a while back, and I'll tell you this off camera, but thankfully we're recording now. When it comes down to it, I was speaking to someone that was at his dinner table. He's someone who has a fairly high net worth kind of thing. And we were just kind of hanging out. And then it was just on a breakfast. We were having some breakfast kind of thing, just regular food. He's like, you know what, man, what I've learned over all these years, that I've learned to optimize my life for moments like this. And it was just him and I sitting down at his breakfast table. And we were just talking. He's like, man, I've had this. I optimize my entire life for like human interaction and just like personal relationships. And it was like, man, it just kind of woke me up. It's like, you can get this. You can chase the high record breaking months all you want. You can chase this vehicle. You can chase this. For guys like us that are into like creative stuff, this camera, that camera, you can get the F3 or the F6 Sony, it's like whatever you want kind of thing. But if you're not optimizing for the things that actually fulfill you, more so the things that please you, there's a huge difference between healing and coping. Huge difference between joy and pleasure. Huge difference between happiness and pleasure. Like doing better and moving on, which is a big thing for people. They think that just because they're moving forward, things that they're doing better. So no, actually look in the mirror and assess yourself as a man and see, how can I do better? Not just like keep chucking on with my life, because you can move on, but you can go the wrong direction. You know what I mean? You could be wanting to go to the beach and then a roadblock hits, and then you can go to the desert. But if you still want to go to the beach, then find a different way to go to the beach.
Yeah,
so,
dude. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head with fulfillment. It's like all these things that we chase, like these materialistic things and the cars, the houses, the new gadgets, the new fucking iPhone, like we feel like that's going to make us happy, that's going to provide this void that we have. But what really is going to provide that void is true fulfillment in life. And that could be like fulfillment in purpose, like you feeling like me right now, feeling that like I'm 100% in the direction that I should be going to fulfill my ultimate purpose here on earth as Nick Sarda, that, or the fulfillment that you get like from that guy, human interaction. I know a lot of people like that, like Jason Phillips, dude. Jason Phillips, he's like a big social media guy, but he's an awesome entrepreneur. And he literally starts his day by waking up, and the first thing he does is he drives to Starbucks, not for the Starbucks coffee, but for the human interaction. He's like, I just want to drive up there, get a good cup of coffee, and smile at them and say, good morning. How are you doing today? How's your job going? Like that little small interaction. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like that also blew my mind. I was like, dude, that's incredible. That's like, I would never think that this like high level entrepreneur just like drives to Starbucks just to have a little piece of just like, random human interaction. And it's just like, dude, those things, like figure out for you what fills your cup up. You know what I mean? And it's going to be different for everyone. Not everyone is like destined to be an Elon Musk and put the human race up on Mars. You know what I mean? You literally might get fulfillment from picking strawberries on your dad's farm and knowing that those strawberries are going to go to a family and make them happy and those kids happy and nourish them, and that might bring you so much fulfillment in life, and you'll be a lot happier going that path than you would trying to become a $10 million fucking Fortune 500 company. Or I meant 10 billion, but you know what I mean? It's just like you got to figure out who you are as a person first and become aligned with yourself. Ask yourself the hard questions. That's one of the hardest fucking things to do. But then from there, you gain a lot of sense of clarity, and you can understand moving forward, like, all right, you know what? This whole, like high roller lifestyle, no, that ain't it. I want something more simple. You know what? I want to be like in the, PNW, the Pacific Northwest up in Washington, just surrounded by nothing but like lush, wet green and like hiking and like having an awesome like little cabin up in the woods where it's quiet. Like that would just bring me so much peace. That's your path, dude. Yeah,
it's just about knowing yourself, just like you were saying. And for those of you all, I might have to write this on that little paper I showed you earlier, because if you don't know who you are, figure out who you're not, and then invert what you're not. Say, I'm not a liar. I'm not someone who's gonna say something and not do it. So then you're someone of integrity. Just write that list down for some of you all listening. If you're just like, hey, how do I figure out who I am? Because the possibilities are endless. Just figure out what you're not, invert each one of those points, and then you figure out who you are by default, right? So speaking about going down the better path, man, I want to talk to you about AWAKND and the mission that you all are on. You say everything that you want about it. You talk about the meanings. I just want to hear you go about it, because I know that you have a lot of passion into it, a lot of meaning and purpose behind it. Because just like you were saying, if this is what you're born to do, I can hear it in your tone of voice. So tell the people a little bit more about how you serve the world.
So it's unreleased yet, and we haven't made any announcements about it. So I won't go too much into depth, but I will say that along this healing journey that I've done, I've noticed the most growth and the most change in who I am and my sense of happiness and just feeling that contentment in my own life. And I think that is super powerful, can really help people in the military. So, everyone knows that, well, not everyone, but I am currently right now an online fitness coach, right? And over the course of some time, we have implemented a lot more mindset shifts and perspective shifts, and even a little bit of hint of spiritual work in there. But we are on the cusp of finalizing a one-of-a-kind offer that is like the best of all different types of like fitness coaching, life coaching, spiritual coaching, all that into one very like structured, rigid, but community-based offer for the military and veteran community. And I'm so confident in this package that like our vision statement as of right now is to serve at least 1 million service members and veterans. And that was kind of like on the lower end. I had a ridiculous number. I had like 5 million. But yeah, it was like 1 million. And then I know that through each and every individual service member that we focus on wholeheartedly, then that person is also going to be able to make immediate change in their environment, who they hang out with. And we'll create this massive ripple effect where, the military toxicity and the parts of it that need to be changed will have no, it's going to be inevitable, essentially, is what I'm saying, because if we can change the individual service members that make up the military, then the military as a whole is going to be completely impacted by this. So yeah, man, that's the vision. And one other thing is like, there's nothing wrong with fitness coaching, I just thought for me and the level of impact that I got from going a little bit deeper, that's the route that I wanted to go personally. And so I also thought that my community and these guys, like, yes, they could benefit a lot from being absolutely jacked and shredded and like, strong as fuck, especially like as Marines and soldiers. But imagine you could get them that and then also teach them that, those things that they're kind of pursuing at a young age aren't gonna give them the exact happiness and fulfillment that they think they are, that they think it is. And helping them on that level, on the deeper level, is just gonna be more impactful in just like every sense of the word. The military, themselves, the relationships that they have, because the military is known to have how many divorces and like bullshit relationships, and it's tough. So just like every avenue that I could spin it, dude, I was like, literally what we're doing will impact that in a positive way. And that's already taken care of. Like it was just like almost overwhelming. And I think a normal person who didn't find this divine calling would be like, you want to do what? You want to change the military even though it's been the same since like fucking Nam? Good luck, dude. You want to help 1 million service members and veterans? Like, who the fuck do you think you are? But I feel so fucking powerful about this that like, dude, it's gonna happen. I'm calling it right now. It's gonna happen.
I'm telling you, man, the plans that you were telling me about earlier, so this is next level stuff kind of thing. Because when you break it down, I know you're really into the inner work and spiritual stuff. When you break it down, all of us are just divine creatures of love, right? So when you think about all of us hurting each other, it's kind of like us kind of taking ownership of pain. So pain is like a virus kind of thing. So when you see people kind of like, oh, I'm going to hurt you, it's like hurt people. So it's a whole bunch of like the person that hurt you, or someone hurt someone in the military kind of thing, they got hurt by somebody else, and that person got hurt by somebody else. And it's this huge virus. So what you're doing by healing the inner work and disembodying and disidentifying really with that pain within yourself, just realizing it's like an illusion of the mind, and you at your core just love kind of thing. You start realizing, oh wait, you can kind of, once you're able to embody love, you can't give something you don't have kind of thing. So then it's like if a lot of people are hurting other people, they don't have love within themselves. You know what I mean? So then you're helping the people in the military find that within themselves, get in shape, practice self-care in so many regards, and then they maybe smile at someone that maybe needed a smile that day, and that person smiles at the next person, and then they go treat their family better, and it's just a huge spillover effect, because that's the only way to really make the change, is to help the people inside as individuals, right?
Dude, that was a perfect depiction, especially the pain, the pain thing, where the pain is a virus.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I got hurt, so I'm going to hurt the next guy below me. And then that cycle continues. That was a great depiction of like what it's like. And then, yeah, dude, like another thing that I heard from one of my close friends is that courage is contagious. So when you see someone that you might have known that, like, you know, maybe you went through the ranks together, whatever, and, you know, you see him again, he's like glowing, he's fucking smiling, like, you know, you're like, as a normal military member, your immediate reaction would be like, fuck you smiling about, dude? What's got you so happy? Did you forget that you were in the Navy or something? He's like, no, dude, it's just a great day. I'm grateful for my life, man. Grateful to be here. What about you? Someone would be like, what the fuck did you smoke this morning? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then it would provoke curiosity, and they would see this person living this new life. And like, that takes a lot of courage, especially in the military. But that courage that person has is 100% contagious, because it's going to provoke the idea like, well, if this person can do it, then why can't I? Or, you know, someone might be like, that's so admirable. That's incredible. How did you do it, man? Oh, you did it from these guys over here? Yeah, let me find out more about what they are, you know, what they do. That, and then that's like the vaccine, the antidote right there to that fucking virus, is like that courage that one person had to transform and become that awakened warrior. And, you know, I'm telling you, the rest is going to be fucking history.
Exactly. Yeah, and I want you to talk to the people that you serve right now. If someone was on the fence about joining your program specifically, they've been following your stuff on IG for a little bit. I'm sure you got a couple of people you're thinking of. They always see the story, always vote on the polls, whatever the case may be. But for whatever reason, they're hesitant to become awakened. What message would you tell them right now in order to best kind of motivate them in order to make the change necessary for themselves and their loved ones?
I would say that, you know, this probably stems from them not being able to completely understand what our package is and the level of impact that we can have on them. But the number one thing I see most people kind of be on the fence and not pull the trigger is because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they can do it. There's a lack of trust and a lack of like worthiness that they deserve some change like this, and that they can even follow through with it. And so, you know, 90% of the time, your biggest enemy is yourself.
Yeah.
It's like when we're on these calls with these guys, we not only have to convince them about the package, and the offer, but that they themselves can do it. You know, it's like half like, hey, like, this is what we offer, half like hype up call, you know? Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what I would tell them is like, dude, you know, you are more capable than you could even fathom. You are more powerful than you even fucking realize as a man and as an individual. And you not seizing this opportunity to become the awakened warrior is honestly a crime, because, and it's disrespectful to yourself and all the people that you love. Because if you can become this man, this person that you want to be, and live this life of happiness and love and success, then guess what? You can provide better for your fucking family. You'll be a better goddamn best friend to your best friend. You'll be a better family member to every single person in your family. You'll be a better soldier and leader to the people below you. So it is literally a disservice to all of them and yourself if you don't take this step for yourself. That's what I would say.
Good. Because I'm telling you, man, the stuff that you got going on, if someone's hesitating to join, it's like they must not like life. You know what I
mean? Yeah. But I mean, for someone who has never come across like this inner work and spirituality, like, dude, it's kind of like those guys are like, that's woo. You know what I mean? That's not like woo-woo stuff. Like, let me break out, you know, my crystals and like, you know, all that stuff. But it's just having a closed off mindset and not being open to new experiences. So that's going to be the most challenging part, is like being able to explain to people what exactly can come of this and what exactly we do and what we're offering. You know, it's like Wake Up Wealthy has the same predicament. It's like, how can you explain what Wake Up Wealthy is without going through it? And once you go through it, you're like, oh, now I actually understand what the fuck you guys do, you know?
Yeah, man. If someone wants to get like a taste of kind of what you all do, you have a Facebook group, correct?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group.
Awesome, guys. So I'll go ahead and link that below in the episode of this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, guys, so on and so forth, and on YouTube. If you want to get a sneak peek behind what Nick's talking about, and as well as have a couple conversations with him and his business partner, Jake, join that Facebook group if you're an active or former military service member, and they'll help you out more than I can, because obviously when it comes down to fitness coaches, it's very individualistic depending on your situation. You know, a lot of the guys that we help here at Basics are guys that are kind of in business, guys that are doing sales door to door, or guys that are just kind of working a corporate job trying to get better, right? And then there's certain things that I just can't help someone out with if they're in the military, because I don't know how the food options look. I don't know how the travel things work. It's just, I can't help kind of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that if you all are tuning into my podcast and you haven't been able to join simply because of what you do for work, Nick's the guy to go to. I'll tell you that right now.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate the love.
Anytime, man. I was going to ask you too, do you all help, or because I know there's some people that follow me that do more manual labor positions. I'd assume that doesn't qualify for what you all do, right? Because obviously with their scheduling, it's like oil refinery. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, we've had people come to us from like the fire department, police department, like because of their scheduling and like hectic schedules. They're like, well, all right, if this guy's in the military and he's coaching military dudes, they're active duty, then he must be able to help. So yeah, we've taken on clients like that like have those odd jobs where they work crazy schedules or weird hours, and they don't know how to like make the best of their situation. So yeah, we do take people like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, primarily we are like military based, and a lot of the stuff that we do talk about is for that. But yeah, I mean, we can definitely help those people out if they want to be helped by us.
Awesome, guys. So go ahead and check out Nick's Instagram page. I'll leave all his links below in the episode of this YouTube video. Nick, thank you for your time, man. This was an absolutely banger of an episode. For those of you all, anytime, man, anytime. For those of you all that are hesitating to join his program, I'm telling you, do it right now. Nick's one of the most freaking, he has the most integrity of most of the guys that I know in my life, right? So he's just, keep him in your mind. If you're in the military, if you're watching this video, he's the best guy to go to in your situation. So thank you all for listening. And again, if you want to find out more information to see how you qualify to work one-on-one with the Basics team, please visit www.basicsbrigade to watch our free video training about my story, what we do, and how we could potentially help you. And again, if no one's told you in a minute, I will tell you right now, it's time to get your shit together, man. See ya.